Alright guys, welcome to a new video. Well, it's been quite a ride the past week because we're trading at 37k for BTC. We've had an ETF spot filing by BlackRock as well, which caused a lot of volatility. So yeah, we're gonna head straight into it. First off, let me remind you that if you're looking for a deposit bonus on Bybit or Prime XPT, check out the links below. Alright, let's get into it. So what has happened last week? Well, we were basically trading within this range here, which I have marked out here. Depending on which wick you want to take, this was the wick from the spot pair, and Binance Futures wick to like 36k, but it doesn't really matter whether you want to see this as the range high or if this is the range high. At some point, we just kept grinding up. We broke out. A lot of volume came in here. A lot of positions also came in here. Then approximately around this region, we also had the ETF spot filing. So from there on out, obviously, ETH pumped. And with that, a lot of liquidity ran from BTC into alts and ETH. And BTC basically started rolling over while there were a lot of longs that aped in here. So from there on out, BTC started running over, all the longs got flushed out and liquidated, causing a huge candle. And obviously all the positions that just entered on these alts also started getting squeezed out, and we had these huge wicks. I mean, this was like 8% on BTC with like a 3k move, but a lot of alts went like minus 20 or 30% during this. Obviously, a lot of leverage got flushed out there, which is nice. A lot of alts bounced straight back. Some of them are well above their highs already. But yeah, it was quite a volatile event, and these are the things that will happen during these strong bull trends. It's what we saw a lot in 2021, and I think we're gonna see it again because usually price action is basically what BTC has been doing. You basically go up only. At some point, there's too much leverage in the system, and then a few little cells or relatively small cells can just make price roll over, and all these positions will get squeezed out at the same time, and you usually get these big volatile wicks, which tend to follow after a breakout first. So you get some kind of breakout, price rejects and falls over, and then all these positions that entered in the breakout, as well as everything in this region, just get squeezed all at once, and you get these kind of moves. So that's why you always should be careful with the leverage, and especially when either funding rates are high or like there's a lot of longs that opened recently. In that case, be careful because these kind of things can happen, and it also shows you how you want to have like your stop losses in place, and also don't think like these things can't happen, because they will happen. There's going to be like 20-30% flushes which happen in like an hour. So just sleeping on your positions overnight without a stop loss or anything, thinking they're going to be fine, and then the next day you're liquidated, that's not what you want to have. So be careful, especially now volatility is much higher, and these things will occur more often. Anyways, heading on. So basically, this is the range we were in, so I'm removing that, and the range I'm watching now is basically these two wicks. So the wick we hit on the top and on the bottom. The most pairs went to like 38k or something. Binance Futures went a bit higher, so you can also draw this around this region depending on where the wick is on the pair you're watching, but I'm just having it here for now. So I think there's not too much to do here on BTC except waiting. I mean, there's not a clear trend on this lower time frame. Obviously, the bigger trend is still up, but I would like to see whether it can or it will sweep this wick here first or this one here and potentially play from there. Because right now we're in the middle of everything, and the red line you see here, the red horizontal, is also against a high time frame resistance area. To easily journal and track your trades, consider trying out Coin Market Manager. It's as simple as connecting your exchange API to the website to get your analytics ready. Sign up using the link below, get a 14-day trial, and I hope you really enjoy it. I know I've been using it for a while, and I can't go without at this point. So I've been saying this 37.3k, and I'm removing this real quick. 37.3 to 40k is basically the high time frame region I'm watching. For now, we did get rejected. So far, we've not been able to get a daily close inside of it. So with that, us being against high time frame resistance, and us just ranging here in the middle, is really not a place for me to open any kind of trade. Alts, some are strong, some are weaker, but also even the stronger alts, which we're gonna head into in a bit, are seemingly cooling off a little bit. So all that together, I'm just basically waiting on the sidelines and seeing what is gonna come from here this week. Obviously, I'm not entirely sidelined. I'm in my spot positions, but I don't have any leverage positions or anything like that because I don't think I have a strong read upon what's next here. It feels like we're cooling off a bit and getting a bit overheated in terms of funding rates, all that stuff, but that's no guarantee for us heading in a certain direction, I'd say. So just waiting out here and seeing what comes next. So heading on, ETH BTC, obviously we had this huge move, which was like 10% after the spot ETF filing. It's even bigger, by the way. I do feel like, especially thinking, or we still have the BTC ETF on the horizon, which I think upon approval will send ETH BTC down because BTC is gonna pump. ETH probably won't catch up, not immediately at least, so this will head down. ETH will still go up in USD valuation, but yeah, I think it's not gonna catch up entirely with BTC, so this probably heads down. For now, I do think regardless of the spot ETF from BTC, this probably heads down. I think with this on the horizon, this will probably just bleed down as this was just a news-driven pump. Confirmation would be upon breaking below this red line for me, and then likely we just fill up this entire candle down here. I think the ETH ETF will be there at some point, but I feel like it might take like 1 or 2 years. I mean, the SEC hasn't even established if ETH is a security or a commodity just yet, and I think they're just gonna drag it out forever, and we may see like an approval 1 or 2 years from now, I'd say. Would even not surprise me if it's like 2 years from now around like the cycle top, and then that marking the top of the cycle. That wouldn't be the first time. I mean, if you go to like the BTC futures pair, for example, if you guys remember, maybe you're around at the time, but the CME futures from Bitcoin basically launched right at the 2017 top, or it marked the top. So wouldn't be the first time to see some traditional finance product mark the top or bottom, for that matter, on crypto. So keep that in mind. But yeah, the ETH ETF, it's nice that it's there. It shows some legitimacy for the space, and I think it also shows that the BTC ETF is more likely to go through, I feel like, because I don't know, feels like BlackRock wouldn't do it without knowing their BTC ETF is probably gonna get approved at some point. So that's basically be the plan for ETH BTC. And I think this will go up after the spot ETF approval by BTC, as I think that will mark the signal for a lot of people to start scaling BTC back into their alts. And I think that would be good for ETH as well, once that happens. So heading on to another strong alt recently is Solana. This thing has outperformed many expectations. I think down here there was a day where I think the FTX creditors or they got permission to start selling off all the Solana and whatever from FTX, and people went super bearish. Everyone was like, okay, this is the easiest short ever. So at the time I tweeted something like, okay, sure, might not be great in the long term, but whenever everyone is shorting one thing, I know usually one thing happens. Obviously, I wasn't expecting this to like 3x or 4x in the next couple of weeks. But here we are. My main target all this time was this pre-FTX collapse these double highs here. But that was at like 38, 39 or so. And since then, we've just been basically crossing all these horizontal levels. And for now, we're rejecting here. The main area, like to really get this out of the, you can't really call this a bear trend anymore, but to really get this going would be above this 80-ish region. I don't think we'll have the fuel to go there in one go, but I mean, who knows? We've been surprised before. But yeah, I think these levels are pretty clear, these horizontals, all things considered. So in my opinion, just play these level by level. Currently we're getting rejected here. But yeah, maybe you get a retest here, starts going up. You can just play this move. Maybe it goes all the way down there, which would be, I think, a nice area to start looking for longs, and then you can just play from there. That's basically how I would just do this. I mean, don't have too many expectations or wait for too much of a dip if you want to get in. Just wait for the proper clear levels and see how it reacts there. I mean, maybe it doesn't care at all. It gets retested, but it just falls through. Maybe the same happens here. Then obviously you don't want to just blindly buy. Just see how it goes and watch out the reaction at these levels, and then play from there. I think that's the easiest way to go. And then another coin is Celestia, or TIA, just recently got airdropped, and it's quite insane how a recently airdropped coin to like hundreds of thousands of wallets just goes like this. The only thing I could remember in recent history was, which was a bigger coin, was Arbitrum, and you can see here the green bar chart is basically the Arbitrum launch approximately, so you can see it here. So Arbitrum as well, it kind of chopped around sideways, and then it did like a 50% pump or something. Obviously Celestia went way higher, but it's also quite a bit smaller than Arbitrum was at the time. But it was quite a bit similar, except for obviously the height it went here. Not sure how high this is gonna go. I mean, it's anyone's guess. It's currently getting quite overextended, I'd say. This, like, the funding rate is neutral, so it's not like getting extremely shorted or longed at this point. I would assume this cools down around this region. It might be a good pickup at some point, but I feel like with these newer coins, it happens a lot. It happened with Arbitrum, obviously depending on the market environment, but even if it gets like a big pump initially, it's pretty rare to just see this go and keeps going for like months from now. So at some point I would want to see like some kind of slowly bleed down, then maybe it ranges for a while up here and then breaks from there again, you know. Those are the places to look for, but right now it's nice if you're in this from before, but this would not be something I would want to enter now. I would also not want to short this. Obviously people have been doing that on the way up, which has been hurting them a lot. So I think be careful. Just generally don't short things that go up only in this kind of market, especially not altcoins. Unless your timing is really good, but more often than not, you're going to get stopped out like 10 times before you hit the big trade or whatever, but it's not worth the risk or the pain or the stress, I think. So rather focus on longing stuff, I think, or buying and then getting out, taking profits, just the safe way, instead of just shorting parabolic moves up, because that has often only hurt people in the end. Then Arbitrum, obviously I was here looking at this for this Celestia comparison, but overall on the high time frame, Arbitrum still looks pretty well. This wick down with the flush retested the channel pretty nicely, but also here, like, it's nice. It's basically slow up only, but you can see it's kind of cooling off, and this is the case for a lot of coins. So yes, we're still going up. Lower time frame is a bit choppy, but we're also getting into some higher time frame resistances on a lot of coins. So I think it's good to just chill, watch back, and see what comes next. And probably not the place to take on like an enormous amount of additional risk if you didn't do that before, for example. Like it's better to do it after like a proper flush or a dip or anything, because right now, sure, it may go up further, maybe just it keeps going, but at some point the downside risk is just not gonna, or it's gonna be much more than the potential upside risk. So yeah, keep that in mind. Just don't want to get wrecked. I mean, people tend to take on a lot of risk after a big move because it looks like it's just gonna go up forever, and then they're whenever it dips, they're gonna either sell or they're too scared to enter. Well, let's say Arbitrum heads back down here. Obviously, it's not gonna look pretty, but from here, I mean, your inflation is probably down here. Your downside risk is only whatever this amount is. Well, up here, maybe obviously you can have your invalidation down here, and then depending on that, but yeah, arguably your downside risk is higher up here because we're like pretty much up only for this time. Obviously, this flush was pretty nice. I'd say it's pretty healthy to have a big flush out, especially in the alts. So that may keep us going for a while because we just had this. But yeah, I mean, BTC high time frame, resistance, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm happy in my spot holds, and we just play it from there. And then lastly, Lido, because we talked about it last week. So real quick, we broke out, basically doing according to the doodle. Just a spot hold for me. I'm totally comfortable in this as long as it just holds above this channel or region. And sure, we might do something like this, worst case for me. But yeah, as long as it keeps up here, I'm pretty happy with this. And I think this mostly moves. I mean, that's why it pumped pretty big here with ETH BTC, because obviously this is the main liquid staking derivatives protocol for ETH. It's basically most of the ETH staked in there. So this will depend or move depending on ETH. So if ETH is strong, Lido is strong, and vice versa. So with that all out of the way, I'd like to thank you all very much. Consider subscribing if you haven't already to stay up to date. And I wish you all a great week ahead. Bye-bye.